When creating opportunities for others, experience is not always your best friend or your ally. It can be a barrier, certainly to innovative thinking, which can affect your bottom line and the organisational health of your workforce. We'll get into why. One of the privileges of being a leader is the influence you have and the opportunity it gives you to use your influence to create opportunities for others. Who do you personally open doors for and why? Leaders are good at talking. And I'm not referring to being eloquent or being an extrovert. I'm referring to the fact that whatever decision they make, they will find a way to justify that decision because there's always a way, right? So, who do you hire into positions where those people will be working closely with you? And who do you hire with the thought process of creating other leaders? We all know about bias and how it's revealed by the language that you use. There are lots of fancy labels given to all sorts of biases. The Cognitive Bias Codex names over 180 biases. So there's a lot going on that will impact your reasoning, your decision making, and behaviors. If you've been a leader for 10, 20, 30 years, are you making the same cognitive shortcuts that you're used to? In this video, we will decode three well-used statements and think through how your decision making can perpetuate your existing or maybe entrenched biases and what you can do to challenge them. Have you ever said or thought things like, how am I supposed to work with that person? This is code for where we differ in our characteristics is a mountain I don't need to climb. I cannot relate to this person, neither am I willing to make an effort. If you've only ever had transactional relationships with people who are different to you in whatever protected characteristic makes you feel uncomfortable, of course you can't relate. But this isn't a them problem, it's a you problem. So you need to take accountability for this. The second statement is, I can't put my finger on it, but they're not quite the right fit. Code for, I have zero evidence that this person can't do the job or that they have poor behaviors or incongruent values to my own. But I'm not the one who's willing to give them an opportunity. Well, of course, this is your privilege. You are the holder of the opportunity. But instead of jumping to abusing that privilege, get curious about what makes you so uncomfortable and sit with it for a while. Do you need to override your cognitive shortcuts? The person in front of you cannot be held responsible for looking like someone you used to know and who you found problematic in some way. Neither then can they be counted out because they have a completely different upbringing to you or what you feel familiar with, or that they have an accent which is different to yours or a different way of expressing themselves. When you can't put your finger on it, this is a you problem and it is your red flag. It's an opportunity for you to sit with your thoughts, be honest about your biases, and consider whether your cognitive shortcuts have gone a step too far. Your hiring, particularly of people who will be closely working with you, reflects the degree of comfort that you have in challenging your biases. The third point is, I need someone who I can trust. They're too much of a risk. Code for, I personally have poor behaviours or attitudes, or at least some dubious ones that I'm aware of. But they've carried me this far into my career and I've done very well out of them. Thank you very much. Bringing this person into the circle means I have to change. And this is something I'm unwilling to do. Stop projecting your trust issues onto others and stop limiting yourself by the level of your cognitive biases. Don't deny the loops of opportunity which you yourself have benefited from and someone else created. This has a large part to play in the position upon which you stand today. Let's be clear when I talk about this point. I am not referring to a scenario where the person has demonstrated behaviours or attitudes which are a cause for concern. But if you don't start from a position of trust, or you don't give somebody an opportunity to earn your trust, what are we talking about here? Are we actually talking about risk? And if we're talking about risk, risk to what or whom? Yet again, we are talking about a you problem. There is no leader that I know who isn't aware of the leadership style or preferences, particularly where they are very senior or experienced. You've been to enough conferences, on enough leadership courses, you've played an active role in strategic conversations, and you've been invited into enough rooms to know exactly how these rooms operate. We can all pinpoint a leader or two with plenty of mud which doesn't stick because they can demonstrate the formula of experience, which is exposure plus opportunity. If your question when hiring is who has already had the exposure to my view of the world and who has already had the opportunities, you are refeeding what I refer to as closed opportunity loops. And there's nothing innovative about your leadership. You might not want to be innovative. You may just want to survive or do things the way that they've always been done. Only you know what you honestly want because it might always be about you. I'm speaking to leaders who genuinely want to be inclusive and challenge their thinking about the way they create opportunities for others. When you're able to ask yourself different questions, you will open up new ways of thinking and new opportunities, not only for the person in front of you, you will release the potential for new opportunity loops to be created, expanding the network of these loops and opening up ways to be innovative and seize opportunities you didn't even know existed. Doesn't matter how experienced you are, you have a reach and range which is limited to the extent to which you're able to disrupt the pattern of your current decision making. By the time you progress into senior leadership roles, you've managed to take advantage of a fair number of opportunities, whether you want to say you've created them for yourself or others have also played a part in them. You would have been invited into numerous closed door conversations and stood on platforms that some people don't even know are there. When you're seeking to expand, build, or fill gaps within your team, the question when you're hiring is what are you choosing to do with your privilege? There can actually be a downside to experience, particularly where it's viewed through a narrow lens and full of cobwebs that haven't been challenged for years. Here are three other indicators that show you need to challenge your thinking. One, you always need someone to hit the ground running. Two, you refer to someone you used to know in the same sentence as the candidate in front of you. This can swing in both ways. It can be in the candidate's favour or otherwise. And three, you think leaders are born. Some people have got it, some just haven't. Here's how you can challenge yourself and begin to make a shift. One, notice what makes you feel uncomfortable. Two, ask yourself why. Don't accept your first answer. We all know the five whys. Three, make a decision to create a new loop instead of refeeding established ones. My name is Karen Landerhin, and I'm a leadership and identity coach and also a cult transformation expert. Put in the comments below your views on how you create